today, I've got Kris Fade, the voice of Dubai. Welcome to the show, brother.
What an honour to be here. They suggested maybe I change my name from being Street Kid Habib to who I am now on the radio, Kris Fade. Not every Lebanese boy out of Sydney is, quote unquote, the guy in selling things on the side. You know,
Or driving a WRX.
Driving a WRX, you know.
Or C63 Mercedes.
Exactly. There's an opportunity for me to start a radio station in Dubai, which was Virgin, Richard Branson. I did a diploma, and I only chose it because I thought it sounded good.
What was it?
Asia Pacific Marketing. The boss came to me and said, "This ain't your job. You shouldn't be doing this job. You don't shut up. You're distracted. You shouldn't be confined in an office."
Hey, what's up, everyone? Happy New Year and welcome back to the Let's Trot show. And for today, I've got Kris Fade, the voice of Dubai. Welcome to the show, brother.
What an honour to be here.
I love your voice. How's it going?
It's good. I'm good. I feel good to be like sort of back home in Sydney. I've been 16 years in Dubai.
Has it been 16?
16 years.
I got 12.
No, 16. I left 2007.
Wow.
And I thought, let's give Dubai a bit of a go. And as much as I miss home, it's good to be out there as well, you know.
Well, looking at your socials, I know you're a very, very busy man. What did you get up to in the last couple of days?
Sort of came back home to Sydney, saw the family. Just love to, that's the hardest thing about sort of like leaving your city for anyone that's had to travel away from their family for work. That's the hardest thing. I've just been spending time with the family. I brought my 2 daughters with me as well.
That's nice.
So they got to see their cousins and their nephews. I've been visiting the old places, went down to Centro Bankstown, went down to Punch Bowl.
Good times.
It's nostalgic, you know,
yeah.
just been able to go down to Pitt Street Mall again. Just been doing a lot of shopping, a lot of eating. Weather's been average. I haven't been able to check out the beaches yet.
It's been average for the last couple of years, to be
What's
totally
going
honest.
on? Summer in Sydney used to be like hot blue skies.
I'm glad you brought it up because all winter we'll be expecting a very dry summer and it hasn't been dry. So the Weather Bureau, I'm after you.
Okay.
I want answers.
No, but it's been good. It's been good to come home and just sort of hang out, get to see you, for example, come and do this sort of stuff. So, you know, always good to come home. I'm going to try to come home a little bit more than once or twice a year now, I think. Sort of just come back, check in with the family. The parents are getting older. So, you know.
Being Lebanese, you got a big family?
Yeah, we've got a pretty big family, yeah. I don't think it's big in Lebanese size,
but
it's a big family for like my Aussie mates.
Well, what is big in Lebanese size?
4,000.
That's a wedding.
Yeah, exactly. We've got a pretty good, Lebanese family.
Nice.
You know, mum and dad migrated like most of the Lebanese did in the 70s and sort of came out here and called it home. And, you know, I was talking to a friend of mine recently about it. You know, growing up as a Lebanese boy, we wanted to rebel against being Lebanese. I didn't want to be Arab when I was younger. I don't know, being at school, I always felt like I wanted to fit in and be like, you know, quote unquote, the Aussie. And I still remember the kids, you know, you bring your Lebanese bread to school, they'd look at it, they'd laugh. But later on now, full circle, I'm so proud to say that I'm Lebanese. I'm so proud to wave the flag for being an Arab, you know?
That's special, man. You should be proud. And it would have been hard for you as well, particularly in the media scene and especially starting off your career in radio. Back in 2000s, early 2000s, you had the Cronulla riots, so it kind of had a pretty bad name going then. Was that hard?
Yeah, definitely, man. Like I think growing up I didn't see it until probably later on though. When I was in those years, I didn't feel that we were not given the opportunities that we probably should have. I was working on radio back in the day on a station called 96.1. Great radio station. It was a West Sydney radio station where we're hip hop and R&B. Like I loved it. I was
still going.
Yeah, it's still going. I mean, it's changed its name, but it's still going. And when those Cronulla riots happened, that was a bit of an eye opener for me. I was known as Street Kid Habib at the time, and you know, being the token Arab, the token Lebanese on the radio. And I remember when that all happened. You know, I remember the big bosses at the time, and they did a really good job. First, they came in and just said, "Is everything okay with you?" And I said, "Yeah, everything's fine with us." You know, they hired a personal security guard at the bottom of the radio station just to make sure that I was going to be okay walking to my car, because things were pretty bad back then for us. You know,
even the war happened
100%.
A few years later.
Yeah, like so. You know, those moments were eye-openers. And it was actually at around that time where they suggested maybe I change my name from being Street Kid Habib to who I am now on the radio, Kris Fade. You know, my real name's Kristen George Fahad, which is a good, strong Lebanese name. And we went to Kris Fade. I was happy with it. And, it's funny now I live in the Middle East and I've got this, quote unquote, Anglo name, Kris Fade, where I should probably have it as Kris Fade.
You look far from Anglo to me.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's the thing. Some people hear me on the radio and then they see me and they're like, you look Arab. I'm like, yeah, I am. But that used to happen like early days in Sydney. Like I'd get opportunities sometimes. I don't know if I was looking into it too much, but I'd get calls and, to do possible TV shows and that because they liked how I sounded on the radio. But then we'd have a meeting and it'd go cold turkey. And I always used to wonder, I don't know if it was true, but I wasn't sure if that was, maybe they weren't looking for my type, a guy with a beard and all that. So, I think coming back 16 years later to Sydney and turning on the radio and turning on the TVs now, there's a lot more representation, which is good to see, And
definitely.
for me, I want to wave the Australian flag proud. I want to wave the Lebanese flag proud, and I want to wave the Arab flag proud for us, Not every Lebanese boy out of Sydney is, quote unquote, the guy selling things on the side,
Or driving a WRX.
Driving a WRX,
Or C63 Mercedes.
Exactly. And if they are driving those nice cars, they did it the legit way.
Yeah, exactly right.
Like,
exactly.
So I want to be able to, I had someone stop me at Roseland Shopping Centre last week, and he runs a Instagram page called Lebanese Memes, right?
I saw that.
Yeah, and he came up to me, he goes, Kris, I love you. And I said, I said, lovely to meet you, man. Shook his hand. He goes, nah, it's what you're doing for us Arabs globally as well. He goes, we have a very stereotypical sort of feel, the Lebanese, especially out of Sydney, we do, and he said, just keep doing what you're doing because I want to show the world what we are. And that gave me goosebumps. I've even got goosebumps now just talking about it. So, I remember the first time I ever went to Lebanon, I was about 18 years old and I walked in, I was like, man, our women are hot. Like the boys dress well. We're a classy culture, right? And I didn't see enough of that here in Sydney, and I feel like we're improving every year as well. We're doing good. And so it's good to come back home and, as I said, wave the Aussie flag, wave the Lebo flag and just keep going.
Well, I'm glad you're back. I think it was it's been a year now since you've been back, since I last saw you?
Yeah, it's been a year since you took me and he demolished me. You demolished me on the, what were we doing, sprints?
That wasn't fun.
What do you call those things?
It was a 20/40/60. There was a couple of sprints involved, MAS running. I just wanted to kind of give you a bit of a taste of what a rugby league player goes through, Kris.
I thought I was fit until you took me on a run and did these sprints.
Can I say, it was raining, it was cold, it was miserable. Hats off to you for actually turning up, to be totally honest.
I think I vomited afterwards, but I never told you.
Well, I'm glad you're back. And last time you came out, you actually brought me some goodies, those Fade Fit snacks, which I've been craving. Tell me about them. Why did you start it up in the first place?
All right, so I left here in 2007, went to Dubai. Yep. There wasn't much on Dubai when I moved. I told Mum, Dad, there's an opportunity for me to start a radio station in Dubai, which was Virgin, Richard Branson.
Massive.
When you work in radio, rarely do you get to start a radio station. It'd be like you playing football for a team that never existed, and it's their first year, and it's
the unknown.
Yeah, and you have the opportunity of being one of the first players or captains to be able to run in that team. For me as a radio guy, it's very rare to be able to do that. So I said, let me try it. And it was for Sir Richard Branson. I thought, this guy's a legend. Let's give it a go. So went out there, helped start this radio station with a couple of other boys and girls. And, within a couple of years, we sort of built the number one radio station in the Middle East.
That's crazy.
Not even in Dubai. It was in the Middle East, right?
Definitely a niche.
Yeah, it was.
There was a gap in the market. And
there was a gap in the market for good English radio stations. It's an English radio station, and there's a bunch of decent English radio stations, but no one was doing it the way that, to tell you the truth, Australian radio does. Australian radio is really good, right? We're world leaders when it comes to entertainment on radio. So I was out there working, and I was just eating. I was just eating, working, no exercise, and I went from about 88 kilos. And over a time span of around 4 years, got up to 125 kilos, 128 actually.
I never asked you this, but how did you get to that point?
Just didn't care. I didn't care. I definitely fell into depression and anxiety, which I talk about. I think I had 2 children. I was just working, my butt off, and I don't know, I became lazy, and food was comfort for me. And then before I knew it, I remember looking at myself in the mirror one day and just going, wow, I'm fat. Like I wasn't even fat, I was obese. And if there's photos, there's photos on the internet of how big I got. And I fell into depression and anxiety, which I did not know what that was. I remember just feeling horrible, but I didn't know it was anxiety.
And saying that, it's, those two words are thrown around quite easily. Like,
yeah,
legit.
They're like, I think a lot of men go through it. A lot of women go through it. I mean, we all go through it. Kids go through it now.
But men just hide it more.
We hide it because it's you're not going to go tell your friend. And one thing Australia's doing really well is, are you okay? And they're asked, those campaigns I think are really, really important. Because us men, especially Aussie men,
got to be masculine.
Yeah, man, I got nothing wrong with me. I'm all good.
Can't be emotional.
But the risk of, suicide in men is the highest. And men, we have it. It's not women, it's men, So I was going through anxiety and depression, and I didn't know what that was. I just knew that I felt horrible. And I remember the time, my ex-wife at the time, she was supportive. She was like, "What's going on? Are you okay?" I'm like, "I got no idea." So I went and started to go see a few doctors. They gave me the pills that you take, the antidepressants. I think I took those for about 2 months and realized
they're working.
These aren't for me, and I felt ashamed as well, which was weird. But you shouldn't.
You shouldn't know.
And then I went to the gym. I walked myself to my local gym in Dubai, and I did a session. I remember just getting on the treadmill and just lifting some weights. And after that session, I felt great. And it was the first time in about 4 months that I felt, quote unquote, normal.
Wow.
I didn't have this panic. I didn't have these thoughts, and I felt okay. And so that only lasted for about 4 or 5 hours before it all came back. So then I woke up in the morning, I went to the gym. After the gym, I felt good again. I was like, there's something going on here.
Yeah.
When I train, afterwards I feel good. It only lasts for 4 or 5 hours.
Serotonin increases, testosterone increases.
So I started doing I was training twice a day. Just playing basketball or lifting weights or playing tennis, just doing something. And it made me feel better. And as I was doing that, I started just to watch what I started to consume then. Because I thought, well, if I'm training, let me start eating better. And then I got fixated on it. And that was the first time that I started to feel good. And I realized, wow, looking after your body is not only looking after it physically, but mentally is where the big gains are.
I don't want to deviate too far with the story about Fade Fear, but I need to talk about like this depression, anxiety. Did this develop over time, or was this something that just happened straight away? A circumstance that triggered you?
I think I don't remember, but it wasn't no, I don't think it was over a long time. I think it would have been over a couple of months that it just went from, my anxiety was so bad. I know how it started actually. And I got a blocked ear.
Random?
Randomly.
That wasn't the answer I was expecting.
Randomly, I had a blocked ear.
Yeah.
And then for some reason, I said to myself, imagine this blocked ear never goes away, right? And then it never went away. It stayed with me for a year. And that blocked ear drove me crazy. My health anxiety kicked in. What's wrong with me? It's cancer. What's going on? Da-da-da. It's not going away. Drives you crazy. And it wasn't until I realized there was nothing wrong with my ear. I did all the tests. I went to the doctors. I did a bunch of things. The mind is so strong. And this is what I've learnt over the years. This is what I teach a lot of people. I tell a lot of people, your mind is so strong, it can manifest anything.
100% agree.
Anything.
100% agree.
Now, you want to know how my ear went away? I got food poisoning. All right? I had a bunch of oysters and I got the worst food poisoning of my life, which took me about 3 months to recover.
Oh, wow.
So guess what? My guts were effed. So guess what? My concentration went to my stomach. My ear unblocked. Because my mind now was fixated on this.
Yes.
And that's when I realized how strong and how powerful the mind is.
That's crazy.
It really can. It can really create ailments in your body, right? So that's when the anxiety was sort of like at full steam. Yeah, wow. And I had to control it. And, talking to a lot of people, I know why. I've got health anxiety, which comes and goes, but I can control it now. One of my good friends, Mark, when we were 18, him and I, my closest mate, he went to sleep one night with a sore throat and then was in a coma for 2.5 months because he got some type of infection on his brain. And so I was with him for 2.5 months in St. George Hospital, where the doctor said he's either going to come out of this, and if he does, he'll be mentally not there or a vegetable, or he's not going to come out of it at all. So for 2.5 months, I sat next to him on his hospital bed with his brother and a few of us friends, and we watched him try to come back. And over 2.5 months, he came back. He learned how to walk. He learned how to talk. He learned how to do all that. That moment of seeing someone, we were 18, we were kids, we were invincible. That moment seeing someone's life get taken away, that was when I realized, man, life is precious. But that's what kicked off my health anxiety. I realized how fickle life can be and how quickly everything can be taken away. So that health anxiety stayed with me. Wow. So full circle, going to the gym and just getting healthy and starting to look after myself was the only thing that made me feel physically and mentally better. Yeah, wow. And so I started training. So I started training every single day. Then I've got a lot of followers globally. They used to message me saying, Kris, man, you lost a lot of weight. How did you do it? And I used to DM them back. Oh, man, I just started going to the gym. I started doing this. Those messages that were coming in daily started to come in by the hundreds. And I was like, man, I can't keep up. I can't reply to everyone. I've got a couple of million followers. I can't do it with everyone. So what I did is I did a day in Dubai, and we called it Fade Fit. My name's Kris Fade.
Makes sense.
Fade Fit.
Love it.
It was a hashtag that I was using myself every time I was at the gym. And we did a day of health. We had personal trainers there, psychologists, nutritionists. We had everyone there. I got it sponsored by Reebok at the time. Beautiful. They wanted to jump on board. They saw this initiative. And a couple of gyms, UFC Gym actually sponsored it as well. Wow. And we did it on the beach. We had about 1,000 people rock up. There was about 3,000 people wanting to go, but we could only fit 1,000. Yep. And it was a day of health and inspiration. And that was the day that Fade Fit began as a brand. Wow. And it was beautiful. People left in tears. People were left in tears because they knew it was what they were looking for. They needed that day or that moment of their life to start something new. And so from there, the brand sort of was, created. And about a year after that, I was shopping for my daughters, trying to find some healthy snacks for them in the Middle East, and there weren't too many options. The ones that were imported from overseas, and they were really expensive. So I thought, I'm going to start creating snacks for my kids. And using my fan base and my followers, they helped me create these snacks, and we released them into the biggest retailer store in Dubai, which was Carrefour, which is sort of like your Woolies or Coles here. And, obviously with the story that I have and my followers, we were on shelves and we started selling out pretty quickly.
That's awesome.
We started off with 2 snacks. They're date-based. They're all natural. There were no preservatives. They were school-friendly, peanut-free. They were things that I was happy to give my own kids. And then from there, the brand just evolved. We now have 26 products on the shelves, from adults to kids. We have our little proteins. These are our little protein balls that we sell. They come in a number of different flavors. Yeah, we have protein bars coming out. We've got chips made out of lentils, and we've become one of the fastest growing snack brands in the Middle East.
It doesn't surprise me because the foundation that you set already for the business, it's all off good values. You know what I mean? The story itself is really special, and it goes back to your kids as well. So this actually comes from the heart. This is just not like a money-making machine for you. You want to change people's lives.
Yeah, I don't care. Honestly, I don't care about the money. I always believe that money will come. You do something good.
100%, yeah.
You do something good, the money will follow. You don't need people that chase money, they'll never get the money. I've realized that.
It's fickle, man.
It is. It comes and goes. So, with Fade Fit, I don't need the money from it. I got enough cash doing whatever I do. So this is just, for me, it's a bit of it's like something that I just want to see succeed for the future. I want to see it for my kids as well. Like I've got it written on every box. Snack is important for me, has to be tasty too. So together with my daughters, we created these delicious protein snacks. This is a business that I want to give to my daughters one day. Yeah. And I always tell them, cool. They're 12 and 14 right now.
I love that,
and
man.
I just had a little son.
I love
so
that.
that's something that I want to hand over to my kids one day and say, here, continue our legacy, you know?
I love that, man. Thanks for sharing that. And that's, I wish you all the best with that. And I'm sure it's going to go even bigger and further.
I get a lot of people wanting it here in Australia. I get honestly, I get like anywhere between, 50 to 100 messages a day. Where can I buy them in Oz? We're working on it. And we'll get there. So just watch this space.
You heard it here first.
That's right.
I know you've been hanging out with Jay from ShoeGrab quite a lot. I even saw you courtside at the basketball. But our good friends from ShoeGrab, Jay personally has dropped off some fresh pair of sneakers. And I know you're a sneakerhead as well, just like me. What are you unboxing for us, brother? And
Can I see?
Let's open it up. I want to see.
Can I say something? Jay from ShoeGrab. Has anyone ever seen him? I mean, I've seen him in real life. You don't see him anywhere,
man,
right?
I first met Jay probably, 2013. Man, he, started ShoeGrab, wasn't like a big name or anything, and wanted to try and grow something. And he was actually working from his van, from his garage, and to see where he's taking ShoeGrab is quite special. And, I'm happy to call him my mate because he's done really well for the brand.
And I love that. And I think especially with our boys in our circle, when we see someone doing good,
100%.
And I'll say this to everyone, it doesn't matter if you're a plumber, if you're a builder, if you're an architect, if you're a doctor, whatever you do, find people that are in your circle and help each other.
Motivate you, push you.
People are very competitive. And it's okay to be competitive, but when you try to stop someone to succeed because you think it's going to affect you, it doesn't work like that.
Agree.
You bring everyone up together. I only recently met Jay, and instantly him and I had a connection, because I think we're both on the same journey of wanting to succeed. We want to keep pushing forward. We want to do good for our kids. We want to do good for our wife. We want to see the people around us succeed as well, which I think is important. So I loved it. I went to ShoeGrab for the first time on this trip. I'd never been to a ShoeGrab.
You get lost in the place.
Man, I thought it was going to be a small, I thought it was just going to be I walked in, I was like, damn, man. He's done well. So let's see I don't even know woo.
Oh, how good. Open them up and let's see what you got. Let me see what you got. Belugas, bones.
I love it. It says, congrats on your latest purchase. I didn't pay for these. I didn't pay for these. Oh, man.
I love them. They're my top three. They're definitely my top three. How good's that?
Look at these.
Extra
one thing that I've learned in the game is be careful. I know ShoeGrab obviously have them legit. There are a lot of places right now that don't. So look out
with
for
everything, even designer. Like it's
everything.
Crazy.
Actually, I was in the States, and I went to one of these places and bought a pair of kicks, and I wasn't sure if they were legit, but I knew a mate of mine that ran something. So I took it over to him to see. The only way he could work out if it was real or not was tapping the sole on the table. I said, what are you talking about?
You're joking.
He goes, I can tell by the rubber if it's real or not. Otherwise, it's hard. But I love these. ShoeGrab, love you. Jay, thank you, brother.
How good's that?
Got the Yeezy Boost 350s V2.
We'll put them on after the show. How about that?
Don't touch them. I know you.
Back to your career. I want to know how it all started before you started radio. So what did life look like for you?
39 in my HSC. Went to Christian Brothers High School, Lewisham.
Yep.
Did horrible. Mum and Dad wanted me to do Year 12 again. I think we were the worst year that school had ever had. Like we honestly were. I remember someone said that one of the teachers, like, you are the worst graduating year that we ever had.
Listen, you got.
But we applauded.
I dropped out of year 10, so you know what? I commend you to go to year 12.
Yeah, you did well. You did well.
Thank
so
God.
I remember finishing year 12 and just going 39. I couldn't get into any university. My parents said to me, being the Lebanese parents that they are, and just being good people, we want you to do year 12 again.
Oh, wow.
And I said, I can't do year 12 again, guys. There's no chance. So I did nothing for the first year. I wasn't sure what to do.
What did you want to do? What were you passionate about?
I didn't know, man. And that's what I tell the youth today.
You know what? Even my wife, like, she's done a degree in uni and doesn't even use it.
Because how are you supposed to know at the age of 17, 18 what you're going to do for the rest of your life?
True.
We live an average age, hopefully, of 80, 85. You're supposed to know at the age of 18 what you're going to do. You were an athlete, right? You knew probably that you wanted to play football professionally. You probably started playing when you were a kid. So you knew that. For other people that aren't in that realm of, we don't know what we wanted to do. I left school, I had no idea. I felt like I was a dropout. You know, I really felt at the age of 17 that I was a failure. you're not a failure at the age of 17 because you didn't complete school and get 85% or 100% like some of your mates did, you know. So I started just working odd jobs. I was working in a cafe at Roselands called Jamaica Blue.
Oh, were you working there?
I did 7 years.
In the shopping centre there?
Yeah, Roselands
yeah.
Shopping Centre.
Yeah, wow.
That's where I used to work. I used to work at Crystal Car Wash at San Susie,
Yes.
washing the cars.
That's still there.
Is it still there?
That's still there.
That's a hard job.
Yeah, it is.
I used to dry.
Yeah.
That was my job. I got shoulders from drying that many cars. I'm not joking. Look at that. People should say your shoulders look good. This is all I did. Wax on, wax off.
I've washed my car once, never again, bro.
Yeah, never again, right?
So respect to all those guys out there.
I did odd jobs like that for probably 3 years, and then my parents kept telling me, go get more of an education. So I enrolled into TAFE, and I went to St. George TAFE, right? And I did a diploma, and I only chose it because I thought it sounded good.
What was it?
Asia Pacific Marketing. I have no idea why I want to do Asia Pacific. There was marketing and there was Asia Pacific Marketing.
Okay.
So I went for the Asia Pacific Marketing course.
And what does that mean?
I don't know. I don't know. I went there, and I'm glad I went because I met some of my day ones again. I met some good mates there that I'm still friends with now. But we just went to TAFE, met girls. I went to an all-boys school. It was the first time that I ever interacted with women. Like, did you go to an all-boys school?
Hell no. I couldn't do it. I don't think I'll go nuts.
Worst.
I'll go crazy.
Because if you went to an all-boys school at the age of 17 when you leave, you don't know how to interact with women. And all the guys that went to like co-ed schools, they're all fine. I remember being 17, like talking to girls, like it was all new for me, where boys that went to co-ed schools have been talking to girls since the age of like whatever, 10, 12.
Yeah,
it was normal. So I remember going to TAFE, like I'm like, oh man, there's women here. This is cool. You know,
And that would have been a distraction itself.
100%. But I had the best time at TAFE. I ended up finishing it. It was 2-year course, like 3 days a week.
Yeah.
And in between it, I was just working at all these different places. And then I finally finished, and I had to get a job. I had to get something now to earn some good cash. And I was working at the cafe, and then I was working as a salesman. I sold background music. So when you walk into a restaurant or an elevator, you hear the music.
Yes.
I sold CDs to cafes and hotels. I was a salesman, okay? Had nothing to do with the Asia Pacific marketing degree that I got. I don't even know I fell into that job.
Wow.
So I fell into that job. I was doing that for about a year. And then finally, the boss came to me and said, this ain't your job. You shouldn't be doing this job. You don't shut up. You're distracted. You shouldn't be confined in an office. You got to not do this job. And then she said to me, I was driving and I just heard that the local radio station were looking for someone to drive the promotional car around. They're doing a competition. You should apply for it. So I would have been about 23 at the time.
Wow.
And again, I was like very little cash, like zero to tell you the truth. I remember I was driving a Mazda 323, 1988 hatchback. I had just enough money to put $20 petrol in that car and buy a pack of cigarettes. I was smoking back then. And I used to buy the holiday packets, which was the cheap ones, right? And that's all I had. And so I tried out for this radio job. I quit the music job that I was selling, tried out for this radio job, and I got into the last 10. And it was on the Edge 96.1. It was called Job Survivor. It was like the TV show Survivor, but it was for radio.
Isn't that crazy? That one conversation you had with the old boss led you to this path.
Yeah, her name was Alison. I haven't spoken to Alison, my old boss, in years, but she was the one that said that to me. Good on her, because she could see that I wasn't meant to do that.
Yeah.
And so worked for this radio station, the Edge 96.1, for about 3 weeks. They made us do some ridiculous things, including I had to go to Parramatta train station at 6:30 in the morning, take my shirt off and get 96 people to put biscuits, arrowroot biscuits with butter all over my body. It was all done live on the radio. Like, they wanted to see how much these guys would want to do their job. The other thing I had to do was wear a bra at it was in Caringbah on one of the highways there, and I had to clean people's windows wearing a bra. And I'm mic'd up and I'm doing it on the radio.
Yeah.
I realize right now, man, I don't know, they probably could get sued for doing half the stuff they did to us.
I don't
think they could do half of it anymore. Anyway, so I did it. Competition ran. I get to the bottom 2. I don't win it. I come second. This girl wins it.
Okay.
She does a great job. She wins it. But supposedly, I get a call 2 weeks later from the boss going, hey, do you want the job? I go, I didn't win the job. The girl crashed the car. She doesn't want to do the job anymore.
Oh my God.
So I said, yeah, let's do it.
It's like everything's pushing you in this direction.
Everything's
right?
pushing me. So then my full-time job, which was paying about $200 a week, not a lot, was to drive the Edge 96.1 Road Rager across all of Sydney, mainly the west.
Yeah.
Right? So every day I would go to the stations at where Kiss FM is now, the ARN radio stations. I would fill the back up with drinks, chips, sausages, all that, close it on my own, take it out, and I go to 4 locations a day. One would be Penrith, one could be up in the Blue Mountains, one could be Punch Bowl, you name it. And I did that job for about 2.5 years and paid nothing, but I loved it. It was me, the roads, meeting people. Yeah. And I'd cross back onto the radio station. I'd be like, this is Street Kid Habib live right now in Punch Bowl. Come down. I'm here for the next 15 minutes. All could be yours. Come and grab your chips, your cans of Coke. And that I loved it. Like, it was like I was 23 years old. I was going out with a girl. My life was great. And then I realized it wasn't earning enough money. I broke up with that. Well, that girl broke up with me because she thought I was probably just a, I don't know, deadbeat. I'm 23 years old driving this radio promotion car around. He's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
So she broke up with me. I'm sure there was other reasons, but that's what I thought it was, right?
Okay.
So we broke up. And then from there, I just drove that car around. And I realized that my ticket into the radio studio allowed me to go to the studios upstairs where all the talent was, where all the radio presenters were. And I remember the first time I scanned my card and I pressed level 3, that took me to the studios. It took me up. And then I buzzed the door and I opened it up. I'm like, man, I'm in the radio studios.
Tell me about that feeling.
It was brilliant because I saw, like, you remember Love God, Richard Mercer?
Yes.
Like, I saw him on the radio doing his show. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's the Love God. Mix 106.5, love song dedications.
Man, I want to know what he looks like. I've never seen what he looks like. I've got this.
I don't know. Yeah,
I think I've got this image in my head, but it's probably nowhere near what he looks like.
So for anyone that doesn't know who the Love God was, he was like the late night radio show that just, he got the most random calls. And that half of them be from prison, right? It'd always be like some, girl going, I want to dedicate it to Rob. He's in, where's Rob? He's in jail. All right, what song do you want? And then they play this. So I'm watching him and I'm like, man, this guy's a legend. And then over time, they'd ask me, I was 23, 24. They're like, who are you? I'm like, I'm Street Kid Habib. Nice to meet you. And then they were really cool, couple of good guys. There's a guy called PJ and Sharpie two guys that worked on the Edge. They opened up the door and then I just used to sit and watch them do radio. And I was like, man, this is so cool. And I kept learning and learning and learning. And let me tell you, better than any college degree is when you learn on the spot, when you learn the real life stuff.
I agree.
Right? So I just kept learning from these guys over a time period. And eventually I learned enough to know that I could start to possibly go on the radio. The boss at the time said to me, I'm never going to put you on the radio, Kris. You can quit trying. I'll never put you on. I remember when he said that to me. I'll never put you on the radio. And that was a bit of a heartbreak for me. And then about a month later, he got fired. And this new guy walks in. His name's Charlie Fox. This guy was a legend. He helped build Triple M back in the day in the 80s.
Wow.
And he just came up to me and goes, what's your name? I said, I'm Street Kid Habib. Name's Kris, though. I like you. What do you do? I said, I do the promotional stuff. I drive the car around and I've learned how to do radio. Are you on the radio yet? I go, nope. He goes, great. You start tomorrow. For some reason, he just took a liking to me. And he became my mentor. And he put me on midnight till dawn, which is the midnight shift till 5 a.m. Hell, worst shift you can get in radio, but it's a start.
That gave me a bit of deja vu.
Yeah.
When we first started this podcast, it was 2 weeks. I got told like 2 weeks to start the first episode. I was like, okay, Jay, no worries.
Yeah, but do it. But look at you now. Do you know what I mean?
No,
but like that's what you do. Like if given the opportunity, take it.
Yeah.
So I started doing radio, and the next thing you know, he moved me from that shift to the afternoon shift. And it wasn't paying a lot. So on the side, my buddy and I started a cleaning business called Squeaky Cleaning, right? Me and my mate, the guy that fell into a coma, him and I started our own cleaning business. We were cleaning offices at night, right? So I was doing radio during the day, cleaning toilets at night. Like no shit, we were cleaning toilets. Like, but it was making us money. And then it came into a fork in the road where I had to realize do we take this clean? Because we started getting a lot of jobs, but I loved radio. And I was like, do I want to, make more money doing cleaning, or do I want to try to stick with what I love?
Yeah.
And eventually I made the decision of I want to continue doing radio.
Wow.
And so from there, I did radio in Sydney for about 3 years on a couple of different radio stations. And then I got the call to say, do you want to go help start this radio station in Dubai? And I got on a plane in 2007, took it. And then, I've been there for 16 years. I only meant to go for 2.
Yep.
I told Mum and Dad I'll come back in 2 years. But, the radio show out there has, more than 1.3 million listeners every single week. It's listened to, globally. It's now syndicated back into Australia on Kris FM. So on a Sunday morning at 8 a.m., you can hear the show across Australia on any of those Kris stations. So it's pretty cool,
Did you find it hard to adjust to the humble Sydney lifestyle to the extravagance of Dubai?
Not really. I think it's who you are as a person that makes you who you are. It doesn't matter the city or where you're at. Do I miss Sydney? Do I miss Australia? Every day I miss my family. I miss the greenery. But Dubai has, as much as stereotypical as Dubai is, with fast cars, big buildings, all the money.
Flashy watches.
All that, yeah. There is a sense of localness to it as well. And when you live there, that's when you see it, So we've got a good community in Dubai. We've got a good community in the UAE, like good friends, good. I heard you earlier before this podcast saying there was no parks. Man, we have some beautiful parks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we got beautiful parks.
You just you get this thing, like it's in the desert, like you don't really think.
No, they do. That's what I'm saying. They do a really good job. Yeah. What I love about the city is they do a really good job. The country, actually, they want to they make you feel welcome. Like they want the world to come and say, hey, we may have just been on sand, but let us show you what we can do together. And they build these beautiful parks and all that.
That's one thing we lack here is hospitality, I reckon. Like you don't really get thrown out the red carpet. If it's restaurants, nightclubs, like I feel like we really lack that here. But you go overseas, like Dubai, hospitality is like number one value to them.
100%. Right. Yeah, like I don't know if it's just the laid back Australia that we are. Like we just, but they don't have the hospitality feel.
I don't think it is. I think it's almost a bit pretentious. Like you should be grateful that you're eating here, or you should be grateful you're at this nightclub.
So I went to a cafe the other day, and someone said, "Go to it. It's a good cafe." And I walked in, and it was beautiful and it was busy. And I said to them, "They're like, hi, how are you?" I said, "Hi, I'd like a cappuccino." "Oh, we don't do that."
Huh? What?
I said, "What do you mean you don't do that? We make our coffee one way."
Sorry?
Yeah. And I went, okay. And they said, so if you want a cappuccino, feel free to go next door to another coffee shop.
Okay.
And I was like, who does that?
Yeah, that's a perfect example.
Like why?
There's many examples.
Why say go next door? Like I've come to you, obviously. And then I said to him, no, I'm happy to try the way that you want to make your coffee, but go ahead, like tell me what it is. He's like, oh, we don't put the chocolate on top. Like that was it. Yeah. So it was a cappuccino, but they don't do the chocolate.
Oh, my head hurts.
Yeah, that's how I felt. Now, the guy that was making the coffee knew me. He had watched the Dubai Bling show that I'm on. He's like, oh, Kris, so good to have you here. And then he said to me, do you want me to put chocolate on top? I said, no, I don't need the chocolate on top. I'm happy to have it without the chocolate.
Where is this place? I'm keen to...
It's in Marrickville.
Marrickville's the best for coffee.
It is. No, the coffee was amazing.
Yeah.
But then afterwards, I said to the guy, listen, I'm a radio DJ. I don't know if he was the manager or just the guy working there. I don't think he wanted to hear this. Yeah. But I said to him, it's like me doing a DJ set and playing the music that I only like.
Yes.
And saying, you guys are going to like it.
That's a perfect example.
I said, I drink my coffee the same way for the last 14 years. Cappuccino, no sugar, takeaway cup. That's how I like it. You're telling me how I'm going to enjoy. I only give myself 2 coffees a day because if I have 3, I get jittery.
I'm the same.
So I only can give myself 2. And that first one is like, I go to bed at night thinking about my coffee in the morning. And I'm like, and you're going to tell me how to drink it? And he gave me that, yeah, I know, mate, but that's how we do it here.
Yeah.
So I feel like there is a little bit of that pretentiousness of like, you have it our way, and if not, shukran, there's the door, which I think we should be a little bit more accommodating. But when you live in Dubai for a while, people say, do you like living in Dubai? 100%. Can I come back and live in Australia? Of course I can. I'll have to readjust myself. But when you live a lifestyle like I live in the UAE, which is United Arab Emirates, Dubai being one of the cities, you then realize, like my mum and dad used to always say, when are you coming back to Australia?
Yeah, wow.
Right? The first 8 years, when are you coming back? When are you coming back, son? Now, they're like, maybe we should come and move in with you.
And I'm
like,
I don't blame him at all.
Because once they realize, like now they see the lifestyle that we've got there and how beautiful it is and how safe it is. And, you know, I can wear my watches, you can do whatever you want. Like, you know, just the other night I went to Harry DeWheel's on Princess Highway. It was
That's iconic.
I love it. I love a Harry's Smash the Tiger, you know. And then I got a couple of nice watches. I had my watch on and all that. It was about nearly 1 o'clock in the morning, and a couple of boys rocked up, and I started thinking to myself, because when I go to LA a lot. I don't wear any of my watches because you will get them reefed. 100%. It's happened to buddies of mine. Yeah. And then I was like, and I was on my own, and I was like, oh, should I not wear my watch around here? I don't know. Am I able to wear my watch around here?
I think you are.
No one comes and jacks your watches here?
I don't think you are. It's
so I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure how the crime rate was because I haven't been here for a long enough.
Nah, it's been. I think we're honestly, that's one thing we're grateful for. It's a very safe country.
It is.
Like,
still
there
safe.
is some times where you hear occasion of the odd shooting here and there, but you know, when you think about
the grand scheme of things,
grand scheme of things, like it's a pretty safe country. That's definitely one thing we have here.
All right.
But anyway,
now that I said that on my podcast, I'm not wearing it. By the way, I feel like I will get jacked out. Where's that guy from Dubai Bling? Where is he?
I'll probably jack you after the show. But you went from cleaning toilets to the biggest radio station in the Middle East.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. This Sydney Lebo from Riverwood has a Madame Tussauds wax figure.
Off its head. Oh my God.
I'm sitting there with a microphone. I've got His Holiness right next to me, the Pope. Like he's about 4 meters away from me, and I'm like, oh my God.
Who was one particular celebrity that you really didn't get along with? And I'm sure there's a lot of people you do get along with, and a very few that you don't.
It wasn't I didn't get along with him, but it was I'll tell you.
Let's talk about Dubai Bling. I want to know what happened between you and DJ Bliss.
As I said on the camera, for me, there wasn't just one incident.
I want to test your Aussie knowledge.
Oh.
You know, you've been away for 16 years? Who's the current Prime Minister?
It changed.